1 Peter 5, 1-14. Vocabulary: partaker, a person who consumes or indulges in something compulsion, the action or state of forcing or being forced to do something. Constitutions, behaving or prone to behavior in an untrustworthy or fraudulent way. Vocabulary: eagerly, used to emphasize a strong desire to do or have something receive, be given, presented with, or paid something glory. High renown honor won by notable achievements, having or showing experience, knowledge, and good judgment. What does 1 Peter chapter 5 mean? Peter closes out his letter to the scattered Christians in the churches of Asia Minor with some final instructions. He counsels elders about how to lead, includes how and why to live in humility with each other, and gives a final warning to be clear-minded and alert. Peter counts himself as one of the elders, and so he passes on the same instruction Jesus gave to him, to feed and shepherd Christ's sheep. That is the role of an elder in the local church, to serve as a shepherd of the flock of God. Peter insists that those who accept the job do so because they want to and not just for money or power. They should lead first and foremost by example, showing others in the church how to follow Christ by doing so themselves. When Christ returns, he will reward those shepherds with an invading crown of glory. In the same way Thosawo our younger are Coleto be subject to these shepherds. Never believer should see more experienced Christians as a God-given authority in their lives. This, of course, also puts additional responsibility on those older Christians who live in a way deserving of this respect. Peter then addresses all Christians with this: put on humility toward each other out of submission to God. God is God, and we are not. We are to humble ourselves under His hand, understanding that our only significance is found in Him. We can freely stop promoting ourselves, because He will exalt us when the time is exactly right. One such act of humility is this: cast your cares on the Father who cares for you. It is only in pride that we would insist on continuing to carry those burdens ourselves. Peter then instructs his readers for the third time to be clear-minded or sober-minded and alert. The reason he offers this time is that we have a mortal enemy prowling around and seeking to devour us. The devil is portrayed as lion, and we are instructed to engage in resisting him. This is to be done by focusing on staying firm in our faith, both in Christ and in God's plan for us. That plan may include suffering for the brief course of this life, and yet it also includes a permanent end to suffering and a future in which our Father forever powerful will restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish us forever. Finally, Peter signs off with a commendation for Silvanus, who will likely deliver this letter to the churches, as well as greetings from the Christians where he was, including his son in the faith. Mark. Book summary. Some 30 years after the resurrection of Jesus, Christians are facing greater persecution for their faith. How should they respond? How should we respond to suffering today? The Apostle Peter writes this letter both to comfort believers and to encourage them to stay strong. He urges them to put their hope in their perfect future with Christ, and to obey and trust Him in the present, even in their suffering. Chris suffered greatly. How the Christ followers have the opportunity to follow Him in this, showing His grace and power in theropofulness, obedience, and faith. Chapter context. Thus far, Peter has affirmed that Christians have been chosen by God and set aside for His purposes. We should not respond to persecution by rebelling our human authorities. Our suffering in both cases points the world to our hope in Christ and allows us to follow in Jesus' steps. Peter here concludes his letter with instructions to the elders, teaching on humility and a final warning to be sober-minded and alert. Subscribe and like.